So Jim Harbaugh, the Chargers have opened camp. And Jim Harbaugh is a complete breath of fresh air. So the Chargers before Harbaugh never really paid their coach big boy money. But the Chargers didn't just need a coach. If I told you, and I didn't give you the team, but I said in the last 25 years, there's been this one NFL franchise. They're almost always really good at quarterback. I mean, really good. Yeah, they've had a lot of Hall of Famers. Like some guys, they don't even draft them and they find them. Antonio Gates. They've had the best running back in the league at any one time, a top 5 to 7 quarterback at any one time, the best receiving group at any one time, the best linebacker at any one time, a Bosa off the edge. But this team, I mean, they blow leads like nobody's business. Nobody loses more games they should win than this team. That team would be the Chargers. They've had the same owner and the Spanos family. Complain all you want, but pretty solid ownership. Just stay out of the limelight. I mean, it's not like Dan Snyder, the Bidwells. I mean, the Maras now are getting crushed in New York. It's the Chargers. The Chargers didn't need a coach. They needed this coach. And Jim was at the podium yesterday. And here's my prediction on what it'll look like. Just like Michigan. Year 1, Harbaugh arrives at Michigan. Almost no NFL players. And he wins 10 games. Massively overachieves. Rising expectations. And a couple years later, he actually pulls back and only wins 8 games. And there's a divide in the room. Is he too intense for college football? Taking recruiting trips to Rome, staying at a kid's house. He will divide people. So the Chargers, he will overachieve this year. Don't be shocked if they win 11 games, maybe 12. Raiders are 2 wins. Broncos could be 2 wins. Chargers always seem to split, don't they, or play the Chiefs well? They'll win 11 or 12 games. He'll be intense. And he'll, by year 2 and 3, if he doesn't have a Super Bowl, he'll divide people. But what he will create is exactly what this franchise, more than any in the league, needs. Toughness, grit, accountability, a plan. They've had talent forever. Dan Fouts, Winslow, John Jefferson, Wes Chandler, Phillip Rivers, Keenan Allen, Antonio Gates. And this team's had talent forever. But toughness, grit, accountability, vision. Marty Schottenheimer a few years, that's it. So to me, the right coach at the right time, they will massively overachieve in year 1, but because they're in a division and a conference with Mahomes and Lamar and Josh Allen and C.J. Stroud and Joe Burrow, they may not win a Super Bowl. And by year 2 and 3, I don't know. You know, he should have stayed at Michigan. He may be too intense for the new NFL. Players have more power now. All of it will be just like at Michigan. Absolute nonsense.
Okay, so you all know that I'm super high on the Chargers and Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. And so I am incredibly excited about this matchup because I think something that a lot of people really fail to grasp, and it wasn't even something that I was fully aware of, it wasn't until I did my, some more investigating, is that, and I forget the exact numbers, but majority of Super Bowls are won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks. It's something like 80% or something like that. And majority of Super Bowls are won by Hall of Fame head coaches and Hall of Fame head coaches with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Now, there's, of course, outliers. I'm not saying all of them, but a massive percentage of it is done by that. So it's really, really important. This proves that it's really, really important to have a coach-quarterback combo that is great. Maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be truly Hall of Fame level, but it needs to be at an incredibly high level. It is brutally difficult for a quarterback to win a Super Bowl without an elite coach. It's possible, but it is significantly harder. And it's virtually impossible, seemingly, to win a Super Bowl especially in the modern NFL these days, to win a Super Bowl even as a Hall of Fame coach without a true legitimate bona fide elite quarterback or Hall of Fame quarterback. And if you even look at some of these other Super Bowls that were won, it'll be maybe like a quarterback who was playing amazing at a Hall of Fame level for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and then kind of fell off, and then now they kind of lost that Hall of Fame momentum. Perfect example of that is Russell Wilson. Until everything that happened with the Denver Broncos and onward, people were pretty much just saying he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. I know it's really easy for people to say he's not now, but back before all of that, people just kind of threw him into the list of saying, he will be a Hall of Famer. Or you have some of those years where a quarterback plays out of his mind for a year and they're able to kind of harness that into a Super Bowl win. But outside of that, it is just true bona fide top level quarterbacks and coaches. So that's why it always falls on deaf ears to me when people try to say, well, how many Super Bowls did Andy Reid win without Mahomes? And it's like, how many Hall of Famers has Andy Reid coached? Only one. And again, you need to have that. You need to have this in place. And it's the same thing now with Harbaugh and Herbert. People want to say Harbaugh wasn't that good. He didn't win a Super Bowl. And it's like, okay, considering what he did with the 49ers, that's top level. He's won everywhere he's ever gone, including college. That's top level. Then people want to say, well, Herbert's never done anything. Herbert's never had a true elite top level coach. Harbaugh is that. So to me, it's very much just 1 + 1 = 2. It's as clear as day that, and I feel like I always have to say this, as long as everyone stays healthy and it's all good, if we give this a minute or two, Harbaugh and Herbert are going to be elite together. Top level. There's just not a single doubt in my mind. There's just no doubt. Justin Herbert has clearly proven to have the talent, the skill set, the work ethic, the arm, the athleticism, the everything. I mean, he's just like a perfectly constructed quarterback. He's just never had a coach to be able to put the offense all together, to actually put the team together. Because it's not even just play calling and play design. It's also getting the right pieces around you. And that is also something that Harbaugh has been shown to consistently do. He knows what a team needs and knows how to then create an identity based off of that. Not all coaches can do that. Some coaches are just great at the X's and O's. You guys know I speak really high of Shane Steichen, and Chargers fans will exactly know who Shane Steichen is. Maybe Shane Steichen is really just a brilliant mind and knows the X's and O's, play design, play calling, adjust in-game adjustments, enhancing a quarterback's strengths and minimizing their weaknesses, but he's terrible at building teams. It's definitely possible, right? We know it's widely believed that Bill Belichick is a great, obviously, head coach, especially defensive head coach, but is not good at building teams, especially over the last 10 or so years. So these are all different skill sets. Harbaugh, fortunately, kind of has all of them, right? He knows how to build a team. He knows how to look at a team and say, this is what we need. And I can evaluate the talent appropriately and say, get me this guy. So that now I feel as though potentially helps accelerate the progress that the Chargers can have. I don't know if they're going to win 11 or 12 games in year one. It's funny because Colin has clearly updated his views because he's also high on Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Me and him see very eye to eye with regards to that. But if memory serves me correctly, he was saying this will be like a 2-3 year plan, which I conservatively agree with that as well. I said though, because I definitely did make a video, I don't remember now, a few months ago where I said they can make the playoffs, the Chargers. I'm just not confident putting a number on it, because 12 games is a lot of games. It's not easy to win 12 games. Make no mistake about it. 12 games is a lot, especially when you are facing, say, the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes twice in your division. And I would have to look at their schedule. I haven't looked at it, or if I did, I definitely do not remember what any of the games look like. But yeah, it's just, this is clearly going to be a different team. The Chargers have a true head coach that knows how to run a coaching staff, who knows how to speak to the front office, who knows how to speak to the players, who knows how to run and create a culture, and who knows how to run the team game day as well. Because again, like anything, some coaches are great game day. They know exactly what to do. Everything else, they're bad. They're not good at interacting with the other coaches. They're not good at interacting with the players. They're not good at organizing practices. Then you have other coaches that are brilliant with the other coaches, brilliant with the front office, brilliant at practices, setting up everything. The players love him. He's just great. He's that guy that you will fight for. But then come time game, terrible clock management, always weird play calling. Like it's just like anything, right? It's there's just always kind of this, attributes that we can kind of change the dials on. And again, I think that's what makes Harbaugh so great. That's what makes a lot of these coaches so great. The McVays, the Andy Reids, the Shanahans, the Harbaughs, is that they can kind of seemingly do everything or most of everything, or the things that they don't know or they're not as good as, they know to then kind of give that off to somewhere else. Because again, what makes someone really good as well is understanding what you're good at and not good at, and then delegating based off of that. So I just am really excited for this, honestly. But it is funny because I do know what Colin is saying about how if they don't win a Super Bowl within the next 2 years, that's what people were already saying. Like if Herbert doesn't have a ball out this year and Harbaugh doesn't ball out this year, it's automatically a failure. And he's basing that off of just his opinion, obviously, but then also it's exactly what happened at Michigan. Like they were bashing him, and it was actually Joel Klatt who had to step in and be like, what are you talking about? Because Harbaugh didn't come in and win a national championship on day one. That means that he hasn't been good. Like what? He completely turned that program around and then ultimately won a national championship. And Joel Klatt went on a whole rant, I think it was on Colin Cowherd show, before Harbaugh ever even won a national championship. I think it was like at this point probably a couple years ago or so. And he's like, the criticism towards Harbaugh is just nonsense. He goes, it makes zero sense. And I feel like, that's kind of what Colin is kind of speaking to if they don't win a Super Bowl in these next few years. But I think for the Chargers, realistically, what your expectations are, at least as a fan, is get to the playoffs / playoff win, or get to the playoffs and have a competitive playoff appearance, right? I don't think if they get to the playoffs and they get smoked and rocked, that'll feel kind of like deflating. But I think getting to the playoffs, you can be pretty happy with, and winning a playoff game or playing a tough game, you can say, okay, good. We are on the right track. This is clearly different than years past. Herbert looked great. I'm excited for the future, right? And then that second and third year, it should be AFC championship game, competitive AFC championship game. Obviously, you want to win, get to the Super Bowl. I think that's a realistic trajectory, especially because we see how fast now teams can turn around. This whole idea that teams have to rebuild, which obviously that is a thing, but seemingly rebuilds are lasting now like a half a season. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And I don't know if that's just been kind of luck in certain circumstances, or if it's kind of just a team that's properly run, or maybe they were only really missing a couple pieces, so the idea of a rebuild was blown out of proportion. Whatever it may be, it does seem like teams, once they have like the correct management, and I mean that very generally, whether it be coach management, GM management, ownership management, it's like as long as a team is like appropriately run, they can flip it around very quickly. And getting Harbaugh in there, he is going to be the guy who's running that, and it's going to happen very quickly. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What do you think the realistic expectations are for the Chargers in year one? Are you like JCT Slice, a subscriber of the show, who thinks that they are going to win the division and beat out the Kansas City Chiefs? Or do you think that is just blown out of proportion? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.